idea for this book?
Yeah, I think Renu Chatterjee was the editor at my publishing house. She had the idea and she called me up because I edited an anthology before and I suppose I had a reputation for drinking, or at least I had then. So, yeah. And you know, I've been excluded from a lot of circles and parties because of my drunken antics. So I thought this is a great way to claw back and look at it. You know, I'm back here now. So yeah, I know. I immediately said yes. And her thing was just drinkers' tales from here and there. I said let's keep the focus on drinking in India because it's something we, you know, and yeah, that's how it came about, drinking in India. And so I wasn't interested because, you know, when I contacted the writer, someone said, can I write about having a glass of this particular wine in Paris or somewhere in France? But that wasn't of interest to me, so I said, let's keep the focus on drinking in India. And I think that's how I conceived it.
What were there's a range of stories in there.
Yeah, there's stories, there's poems, and there's essays.
What do you think, what does it look like, drinking in India?
Yeah, I think with drinking we have this, like with a lot of things, like with sex also, we pretend we don't do it, but we do it all the time. And I think there's something, drinking is very similar to that. So India is the world's largest whiskey consumer, and Imperial Blue and McDowell's #1, which in the trade, in the whiskey trade, are called blockbuster whiskeys. Of course, the whiskey purists insist that this is not real whiskey, but it is, you know, so if you look at the figures, it's just staggering. And this is not a very statistics book, but I think somewhere I mentioned. But so we have this attitude that we don't drink, and that makes us drink more and drink in the oddest of places. So, you know, if you belong to the middle class, you can have a drink at home, but a lot of my friends or people I see on the road can't do that. And so, you know, I'm taking a walk in Dehradun where I live, and as you know, on a Friday I'll come across two men with their backs to Rajpur Road, which is the main artery, and they're just sharing a quarter bottle of whiskey under the tree, and then they're going to go home to the, you know, go home. Now, this happens in dives in Dehradun also, which are full of men, and you know, just behind the liquor store, you'll see a man parked on his, you know, park his motorcycle and always buy 2 cans of Kingfisher Strong, which he'd finish there and then head home. So, you know, there is this whole thing of drinking outdoors, and I think drinking has become this great outdoor sport in India, where you drink in the weirdest of places, but you can't drink at home. So that's why, and you know, yeah.
Was there any kind of story or poem or essay that you had to look for to sort of round out the experience?
Yeah, I mean, the way I did this anthology was I went to writers I really liked and whom I'd read in, you know, not necessarily on alcohol. And then these are freshly commissioned pieces. And I wasn't really looking for gaps to fill, although there was a broad plan that we needed something on drinking in Hindi cinema, or, you know, my story, which I can read out from, is called Dancing with Men. And it's not that we don't like women drinking, but it's just those bars in small towns, you only have men, and then what happens when those men just drink through the afternoon and it's evening. Yeah, so I didn't really, you know, but I can read out a bit from there, if that's and then we can have Manohar immediately after that. Should we do it like that? Yeah. But having said that, there's a lot of range in this anthology, and you know, there are Adil Jassawala writing about drinking in country liquor bars in Kulaba, the people writing about rehab. I mean, and this anthology took a long time. It's 7 years of at it like old monk. So, you know, at some point everyone had given up hope, and yeah, we were all drinking too much. And yeah. The Vijay Nambisan wrote a piece, and seriously honest piece, which is also, you know, there are a lot of people here writing about very personal experiences, which could be embarrassing experiences. But you know, he checked into rehab, he came out, and it's been a while, and he said the anthology must be out already, and I said no, it's still brewing. And then he finished his piece. It was brilliant because it was just drawing on the experience he just had. And there's a fascinating piece by him, and also about how these places are big scams and rackets, in Kerala especially, the rehab centers. Okay, so this is about a small bar in Dehradun. It was called Quest the Fulfillment.
Shut down.
Sounds okay. The men I'm with are men to whom I would ordinarily have nothing to say. They come from business family. I've just, the protagonist here just met some people in one bar, and everyone's headed on their scooters to another bar, Quest. The men I'm with are men to whom I would ordinarily have nothing to say. They come from business families. Their fathers own motor spare parts shops and television showrooms, deal in wholesale goods. It's dark inside Quest. It's full of men in their 20s. Everyone is smoking. There is a lone girl on the floor. She has long silky black hair. Another girl soon joins her. There is a third girl. She's with a reticent boyfriend. When the DJ plays a request, she tugs at his sleeve, tries to drag him to the fluorescent edge of the floor. He refuses. She takes the lead each time but succumbs to his hesitance. She does this again and again until she finally succeeds. The men sitting at the bar turn around and watch the couple dance. The boyfriend dances jerkily. He doesn't look happy. His partner sways her hips, thrusts her breasts out, throws her hands up in the air. She seems to be enjoying the attention. Another couple walks into the bar. They're probably not a day older than 14. The boy wears an undersized t-shirt and cargo pants. He seems familiar with the place. They sit at a table close to the DJ's booth. They order vodkas and light up. On the table next to him, a man in dark glasses sits nursing a beer. He wears a flowery shirt, his hair is cut short in front, is long at the back. He sits absolutely still. His legs do not shake, his hands do not fidget. The strongest wind will not ruffle his hair. He could be cast in stone. The drinking is going to happen. I see Angelo walk into the bar. Angelo is a tall, slim man with long curly hair and opaque eyes. He's a man of many talents. He works as a shop assistant at a music store around the corner from Quest. That's where I meet him first. Angelo teaches choreography at 3 local schools. He likes Beyonce and Justin Timberlake, and it is precisely because he's a choreo teacher that Angelo never dances in discos. He thinks it below the dignity of his craft to dance with lumpen drunk men who wiggle their untrained bodies in completely random fashion in small-town discotheques. Angelo walks over to my table, his slender fingers wrapped around a rum and coke. He knows about my wife, but Angelo is the kind of person who expresses empathy by skirting the issue at hand. He's full of news. He has just bought a new Honda scooter. He shows me the keys, invites me to take it for a ride. I try and feel excited for him, politely refuses offer. I don't drive, I say. But Angelo refuses to give up. Just give me half an hour and I'll teach you how to. The place is filling up by now. The awkward couple is long gone. The only 2 girls in the place have got lost in the crowd. Angelo and I are talking about the weather when something happens. The music stops, people stop talking to each other. In the dim blue light, one can make out 2 girls holding hands, one can hear screaming. They don't know who we are, these bastards. They really don't know anything, Sonalika. Initially, the girls seem to be targeting their fury at specific people. By the time they leave, they are shouting at the world at large, accusing everyone sitting or standing inside Quest of being monsters and rapists. The men stand in groups, mildly stunned, drinking, smoking, sniggering. The girls leave without throwing a backward glance. The party resumes. I just read a little bit more. Now this is about, the floor is, by now people are coming, there's a fight, by now people are coming back into the bar, they resume their conversations, the DJ continues to play Bollywood remixes, Eminem remixes, all kinds of remixes. The floor is packed, men arch their backs and throw their hands in the air. The men dance as couples. I hit the floor and start dancing on my own. I move around trying to penetrate the privacy of these male couples. One of them moves a step back, allowing me to join in. Now there are 3 of us. The man spreads his legs, throws his head back. I go down on my knees, slide and land under his crotch. My gaping mouth almost kisses the man's bulge. I can smell the smell. I can hear myself singing, Kajrare, Kajrare, Tere Kale Kale Naina. We reverse roles. The man twirls around like a girl while I thrust my pelvis at him. Okay, I think we'll stop there. But yeah.
An excellent place to stop. Or maybe the worst place to stop.
So yeah.
Once more, once more. We know, yeah. That's a blast.
positive scene.
Should I? No.
Yeah, please.
At least one more paragraph.
Okay, yeah. The dance floor is absolutely packed. More and more men crowd the floor, clutching cigarettes, drinks, the best mates' hands. A couple enters. They don't look like they're from around here. Everybody turns around and stares. They leave. We go back to dancing. Occasionally, an over-enthusiastic dancer loses balance and takes a spill. Somebody's hand lands on my face, dislodging my spectacles. They go flying through the smoky air. I don't even try to find them. I cannot see anything now. Where am I? I ask my dancing partner, a scrawny guy wearing a blue t-shirt that bears some brand name. Tum kahan se aa gaye, bhai sahab? He replies. There is affection in his voice. I break away from the guy I'm dancing with and begin to work the dance floor. I whirl around in circles, stumble and trip. Someone or the other proffers a hand, picks me up. I go to every dancing couple. I walk over to the DJ's cabin. I can hear myself saying, come on guys, let's do it one last time. I am the foreign coach encouraging his boys to go for the kill. We have to win tonight. And so the night continues, men dancing in perfect harmony. There is some pushing and some shoving, a bit of aggro, but not real, more like role playing. With no girls around, the men have nothing to fight over. We make the best of whatever we have been given, a floor, a DJ, each other. Yeah, and this is, perfectly normal. So, my friends in England or somewhere else, they always think there's some homoerotic, but there is, but it's more that there are no girls. And
Situational.
Yeah. Yeah. Fate of small up, so yeah. Maybe Manohar can now.
Yeah, would you like to join us?
There are about 4 or 5 of my poems here. I'll read just 2 of them. The first one is called Drinking. The first one is called 10 Feet. There's a reference to a Manu. Manu is my nickname. 10 feet tall. In my drinking days, I never slept. Only passed out and woke up. My eyes red as Mars. My head a rattling alarm clock. Amnesiac to the past 20 hours, when my tongue ran away with itself. I know how it felt to be 10 feet tall, lurching about like a leaning, beaming tower of Pisa. Now sober, I remain mostly quiet, content with the lime and soda. A humble penitent, not given to garrulous argument or loss of temper, or making bosom chums with my local fisherman and barber, or tipping the waiter half my wages. In fact, I've become somewhat timid, diffident, a little remote, even reclusive. Certainly not the high spirit of the party, inviting the cop on duty for a nip or two into the speakeasy with the gangster swagger. But unlike the phantom with his wolf, I haven't switched to a glass of milk at the bar counter. In times of extreme tension, I keep my patience and don't attack the bottle with that resultant loss of dignified balance. Or fully dressed, drop half dead under a running shower in my bathtub, the doorbell ringing at milkman dawn, like church or temple bells in a storm. No, I don't cringe from that same old taunt, "Ye sala manu ban gaya beda." I know how it felt to be 10 feet tall and to wake up crunched into a doll. My head unscrewed from my neck, my fingers digging and clawing myself out from a ditch 10 feet tall. people ask me why I don't write more poems about Goa. It took me a long time for the place to get under my skin. But once I started writing directly about Goa, the poems, as it so often happens, came in a heap. By a heap, I mean 5 or 6. So here's one called Taverna. After 20 years of yoga and mastery of its acrobatic asanas, forehead on the floor, feet round the neck, total breath control, he tripped over the doormat and died of cardiac arrest, all of 44. Clean living, as he put it once, is the path to nirvana. At the Good Luck Taverna, Eddie, 74, was 3/4 of Caju Fenny, topped by a shot of Dotter's brandy. Down the hatch below, a picture of Mother Mary, between sunset till the bar shuts at 12. He goes home on his moped without troubling the potholes or the pigs, and sleeps the sleep of the just. This is ritual the past 40 years, though every Christmas dog warns him it's his last. I asked him once over a peg, boiled eggs, and a saucer of peanuts, the secret of his long life and sound health. He blinked behind his soda water bottle lenses and said, "Drink, siesta, and God bless. What for you is poison is for me tonic and medicine." Thank you.
Okay. Manohar also has an essay in this anthology, yeah, which is about how he doesn't drink anymore, yeah. Or has the occasional drink. Yeah, so we can. We can talk a little bit about also the writing and drinking if they, yeah.
Yeah, so do you drink when you write?
No, I don't. I can't do it. It's like this William Eggleston, it's called the pioneer of color photography, and he drinks, but he says even if he takes one sip, he can't take a photograph. Something changes. So, no, I don't, and Manohar and I were talking about it earlier, and that's sort of become a myth about being creative, and especially poets, but it doesn't really work. And my whole thing is that writers like Edmund Wilson have been known to write and finish half a bottle of gin, or Christopher Hitchens also. So I suppose if you can do it, because the whole thing is about losing control, and how much control should you lose, and just the right amount of control. And then my thing is that, because it's also, drinking is related to the reward system in your brain. So what do you do when you're mentally exhausted and you finish writing? Because alcohol sometimes helps in getting away from your own writing once you've done it, and you kind of, So drinking and writing never worked for me, because there's always the question of also when I couldn't lose control in such a calibrated, careful way. And the other thing was that, what do you do after you've done your work? And then you have a drink. If you've been drinking while you've been writing, it just messes with the reward system. But
yeah, I certainly never have been able to drink while writing. I feel like, first of all, I don't have an off switch, so I will just keep drinking.
The green light goes on.
There's not going to be anything good that's going to come out of it writing-wise anyway.
Have you jotted down ideas that have come to you while you've been...
I have, but then I look at it later and there's nothing there. I know some friends who will smoke hash or pot, and then they feel like they will actually have they'll write down a lot of stuff, and maybe there'll be a good idea there the next day. But it wouldn't be the way they would actually do the primary writing. It's just a way to sort of get the flow in. But that also I don't have any.
It's tricky,
Yeah, it doesn't work for me anyway. I leave that for strictly recreational, non-writing times.
Just talking about drinking, I can read another bit from a piece I wrote, which is about, the 5 places Indians drink in. And see if I can, I think it should be here. It's the auto rickshaw. So in Dehradun, in the foothills of the Himalayas, where I now live, there are no cycle rickshaws. Auto rickshaw. Sorry, before that there was this thing about Allahabad, where I grew up in. And drinking is a secret and illicit activity, even though it's not banned in most states of the Republic. For the average Indian male, drinking at home is taboo. You don't want to drink in front of your old mother, it's disrespectful. Or your wife, she will beat you with a broomstick. So if you want to drink, you head for the great outdoors. I grew up in Allahabad, a city in the northern plains, best known for hosting the Kumbh Mela once every 12 years. In the 1980s, Allahabad didn't have any bars. The only public transport available was the cycle rickshaw. The simplest way to drink was to hire a cycle rickshaw by the half hour. The rickshaw puller would pedal around the quiet streets, laid out at right angles, Manhattan style of the colonial town, while you finished your beer at twilight. In Dehradun, that's the cycle rickshaw. In Dehradun, in the foothills of the Himalayas where I now live, there are no cycle rickshaws. Auto rickshaw drivers are friendly and more than game for a drink. This is how it happens. The driver will pull up by the pavement and roll down the rain curtain, thus blocking the view from the road. He sits in front, you sit at the back. He produces 2 small plastic glasses. He finishes a quarter bottle of cheap Indian whiskey in 3 quick gulps. Now how do you go about this? Round 1. Pour whiskey, add water, gulp. Repeat twice. I'm still sipping on the first drink. Hurry up, he says. Yaar, ghar bhi to jana hai. Biwi ka phone aa raha hai. Drink up, buddy. I have to be home soon. My wife's already called twice. Nanlal, an auto rickshaw driver, told me that hospital parking lots are the most peaceful places to drink in Dehradun. You have your whiskey while doctors, nurses and patients' relatives go about their business inside. Occasionally, a corpse might stumble out and join you for a farewell pint. If you drink too much, you can always check in for the night. The rooms are whistle clean, the sheets white and crisp. Indians love drinking in their cars. Now this is divided into 2. The first is the wedding drinker. His car follows in the tail of a wedding procession. The car is in the boot of the car, also known as karoba in English. And then there's always this chicken point in every North Indian small town. You have a chicken point. Every North Indian, so it's a second type of car drinker parks his car at a friendly chicken point. Every North Indian town has one. This drinker, usually accompanied by a male sidekick, drinks at a more leisurely place. The plastic glass safely ensconced in the bottle holder down by the gear shift. The chicken tikkas are passed through the window. The bass is full throttle. You sit in the dark eating and drinking. The blinking lights of the car stereo add to the illusion of being in a nightclub. And then, finally, we drink on trains, especially on long-distance trains. There is a whole method of which stations you can pick up. The attendant, you bribe the attendant, and he will get you what you want. And on long journeys, you only have to let the coach attendant know beforehand what you'd like to drink. The liquor is bought at a station where there's a long stoppage time. And once I was in Bombay, on the Rajdhani from Bombay, and the Sardarjis boarded the train, and it's always these men drinking, so the wives are inside, and then they all kind of gathered around the toilet, they lowered a kind of table, and then they were carrying a chicken, so which they sent into the pantry car, because you can't have the whiskey without the chicken. so yeah, there's a whole system in place, and if you don't have the money to bribe the attendant, you make these party packs, so everyone carries a Bisleri bottle. Pre-mixed, and you'll have your bhujia, and at a certain time this guy is going to give some furtive glances, and then produce his bottle just before dinner, because Indians love drinking on an empty stomach. And then before dinner you'll see that ritual taking place. Yeah.
I'm interested in, so I'm from Bangladesh, and drinking is kind of a difficult proposition there. If you have a foreign passport, you're able to acquire your liquor, but it's harder if you're Bangladeshi and just have a Bangladeshi passport, or Bangladeshi ID. So when I first came to India, I went to Kolkata, and I was told I was going to a little wedding outside of Kolkata, and the bride said that I could get alcohol from these shops, they're government shops, and so I was tasked with going to get alcohol for the bride's family, well, the friends anyway. And I was looking around for this government shop, couldn't find it. I was asking all these rickshawalas, and eventually realized I was asking the older ones, who were kind of offended that I was asking for alcohol. And eventually a young guy was the one who actually showed me, oh yeah, go down this alley and then this other one and then you'll find it. And I went in there, and I was gonna buy, there was this big grated window and all these men were coming in and buying alcohol. And I was gonna buy a bottle of whiskey, but everybody else was buying this other bottle. And I asked them what it was, and they said, oh, it's top class Bangla Mall. Bangla is the name of it, which is not very a descriptive term for the local alcohol they had there. And it was also a fraction of the price of the whiskey. So of course I got that and brought it back to the bride and her friends, and they were like, "Is this safe?" And I said, "I have no idea." They're like, "All right, you try it first." And it was one of these tops you had to like peel off the thing, and then you could never close it again, so we would have to finish it in one go. And then none of us went blind, which was the story at the time, that you would go, some like corrupt liquor, like it actually does happen to some people.
No,
anyway,
Hooch, it's called Santra here. And it's
don't give Santra a bad name.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying it just tastes like orange flavored vodka.
If it's prohibition, then they add ethanol or methanol, and that often is spiked with something to prevent you from drinking it, and that makes you blind. That's the idea. So that prohibition, it's a prohibition shit that causes the blind.
No, otherwise Hooch is, the country liquor is country liquor. It's just stronger, but it's just cheaper, but it doesn't.
Although, when I told a Calcuttan friend of mine who's older, he said, "Oh, this system you're talking about, it's peeling off. In the old days, they used to have this lead stopper with wax, and you'd peel off the wax, and you'd break the lead. And then everyone, if you were going to go drinking, you always had to have a handkerchief with you, because you would strain the liquor through the handkerchief so the lead wouldn't get into your glass. And like a slice of lemon, and that was like an afternoon well spent. And it's so easy for you now, right? You don't need your handkerchief and your slice. It comes with. Anyway, it's an interesting, do you think there's differences in regions and how people actually, because you're talking about North Indian town.
I mean, my anthology was about IMFL, which is what we call it's a very strict Indian-made foreign liquor, but whiskey, rum, Indian-made, and so it's mostly about that. I didn't go so much into indigenous alcohol, of which there is a lot, and that's a different book altogether.
But you should do one.
The next volume.
No,
Faney.
Absolutely.
This may be the only state where a boy's childhood narrative has Faney in the title.
No, absolutely. Rajasthan villages in the northeast, I went to the Zero Festival in Arunachal Pradesh, and then you have rice beer, and the 3 or 4 varieties of rice beer. And I was quite upset because it was on the last day of the festival that I discovered the really strong beer. That is, so that's a very different...
I'm curious too about women and drinking, because in Bangladesh, you can actually get a note from the doctor that says that you have to have alcohol, so maybe this, so in the old clubs, like in Dhaka Club, you have the note and you can prove it if they get busted, that, oh look, there's this note. And I was really excited when I heard about this. I was like, I'd love to see one of these notes, and my aunt told me about it. I said, do you have one? She's like, of course not. Only men can have these notes, only they could withstand that blow to their reputation. Women could never have a note like this.
Yes.
But you're also talking about how there's this gender divide of how people drink, and do women drink?
They drink. I think more and more women are drinking, and there are, Kanika Gehlot has written a piece called When Nights Turn Into Decades, and that's about, but women will generally drink posh alcohol. They will drink, now, you have bars in the cities. Delhi had no bar culture till 10, 15 years back. And when I was in college in Delhi, it was really, there was a couple of bars in 5-star hotels, and that was it. But now, places like Hoskas village is exploded with nightlife, bars, restaurants, Gurgaon, and, more women are working. So, it's just part of that capitalist culture. And also internationally, I just read that, the millennial women have filled up that gap, which men were always drinking more. But this year, it's absolutely the same. So millennial women are drinking a lot. Although millennials on the whole are not drinking that much, and the liquor industry is worried about that. But in India, there's been and because Delhi is a great place to observe change. Because Bombay always had those bars, and a woman could sit and have a drink. But Delhi didn't have that culture. But that is there now. But it's expensive. But it's there.
Right, so there's a class issue there.
There's a class issue there, absolutely. And if you talk about liquor, like country liquor and things, it's very interesting because there's a piece in my book where Arnab Saikia, this young journalist, goes to meet Delhi's oldest bootlegger, Shanti Devi. And women have always been involved in bootlegging. And so they played they've always been there.
We could also have questions from the audience if people have questions about things they'd like to direct. Sure.
I'm sorry.
You spoke about Christopher Hitchens.
Yeah.
I've read he's a very good speaker. I've seen him on TV debates and in internet debates and writer.
Yeah.
But you said he used to drink while writing.
Yes, he writes about it in H22. Not too much, but he would finish half a bottle of red, post lunch, and and then but and he's talked about not getting drunk, but just some wine to accompany the writing, and he wrote a lot.
He wrote.
Famous
atheist.
Yeah.
Wrote mainly on that subject.
Yeah. No, but it's true because I read it in H22, his memoir. So, yeah.
Can you bring back the mic? Oh, sorry. Thank you.
I could also read some other stuff from the anthology if there's no.
Does anybody else have questions about the anthology?
Comment, not a question really.
Sure.
That's all right. When you say that you need a balance, I think my voice is loud enough. Can you all hear me? Yeah. You say that you need a balance so you don't drink while you're writing. I basically come from Bengal, where the male poets all drink and write the finest poetry. So I don't think you're looking for balance there, but a particular sentiment or an emotion, or maybe just letting go.
Yeah.
I guess it's a kind of poetry you write.
Yes, that's also
and
that.
it depends on what you're producing.
Yes.
Whether you want control over that, or whether, Shakti Chattopadhyay, one of our best poets of India, writing in Bengali, was almost perpetually drunk.
Yes.
So this does happen, and I guess, I just wanted to share that. The other thing, Abeer, you talked about this note that you get from the doctors.
Yeah.
My father-in-law had that because they lived in Madras, and there was prohibition there. And that said, I've heard from my father-in-law, actually from my husband, who couldn't ever live it down because his school friends saw it, which said, I am a drunk, I need my liquor, without which I will die, or something.
Yeah. That's the prohibition law,
Tom Morris has this wonderful account when Frank, his father, he's 13 years old. Frank, his father, calls him into his study and says, it's time you learned how to drink, but you'd better get yourself a permit. So the 13-year-old goes to the local authority and gets a letter that says, this is to certify that the holder of this permit is an incurable alcoholic. And deprived of his alcohol the deprivation of his alcohol may cause sudden death. 14-year-old boy.
This is exactly it. So no wonder the Bangladeshi women don't want that.
I would love to know the wording of the doctor's notes in Dhaka.
Yeah, in Gujarat, there's a kind of form which you have to fill.
Yes.
Sharabi ka naam.
I can read out a bit from that with Soumya Bhattacharya, who and he goes to Gujarat and he goes through this long process where he has to fill up this form, and then he finally gets his permit. And somehow he just doesn't enjoy his drink because this is the procedure. So he has to drink in his hotel room, and then he pours his drink after a lot of hard work. And then he just says that I can just read out a paragraph somewhere, but anyway, no, we can talk.
Go ahead.
But I'd also like to say that there's also, like Amit Chaudhary's piece in this anthology is about not drinking. So there is also the kind of pressure there is on you if you don't drink.
who has done a very good place, very good drama. Whatever drama, he has done very good drama. Very good drama.
What was his name?
T.P. Kailas.
T.P.
Long
Kailas.
ago. But there were excellent dramas they have done.
Only on alcohol.
Oh,
T.P. Kailasan could not write drama until he was like 2.
Good, all could not write.
Yeah.
All splendid dramas they have done. All except everybody has a grand.
That kind of sounds like the drinking came first, and then the writing kind of fits into it.
Yeah.
Right?
No, if you can trust your flow that happens after a few drinks, you know, if you have faith in it, I mean.
And about the anthologists, my favorite memory is we've all called to this school of little boys. And Mr. Mehrotra is on stage and everyone's reading poetry, and Mr. Mehrotra reads a poem about dogs.
Yes.
Which everyone thinks are like good for children. In the middle of the poem, Palash's poem, he says, जब मेरा शराब बहुत हो जाता है, तब मैं जाता हूँ Allahabad. You could see all the teachers and everyone immediately called to us.
I could read a bit of that poem now because the poem I used to recite a lot when I was drunk.
Can you translate that?
Sorry?
What translate?
Oh no, it's kind of in Hindi and English, but yeah, so there are a lot of English lines, but otherwise it's in Hindi.
And
I used to recite it a lot. I needed to be drunk to recite it.
No,
and it's not put there on
stone cold sober.
I was. And that morning you had woken up.
I got a call from Krishna Mehrotra saying he's not answering his phone, go check.
Wake him up for the session.
Go wake him up for his session. So I went to his room and the door was open. He had left the door open, he was asleep on the bed. And another woman comes up to me and said, "Where is my apple?"
Hello.
And he had taken her apple. He's drunk.
Was it an apple you eat or an apple phone or
I did not ask. I am gold boy, I am not
apple of Eve's apple. Writing about having a problem with drinking and hiding from home, I think it would be interesting to do the same thing with just women.
No, absolutely. Because just the fact that it's harder for them or whatever, that it makes a certain subculture, and then it becomes a, absolutely great stories
and
about
hostelites, serious drinkers.
Yeah.
Hostel girls.
And my favorite binge drinking partners have been, Charu and absolutely.
Okay, no surnames.
We're not dating, no one knows. No, I mean, this was about the prohibition thing. Just to get a visitor's, it's a Soumya Bhattacharya's piece, just to get a visitor's permit, my friend says, I go for my permit to a legal liquor store in the premises of a 5-star hotel. I show proof of my identity, plane tickets, business card, and fill in a form as long and almost as convoluted as the one you do when you're applying for a US visa. It takes a very long time, but I finally have it. A license to drink in the state within the confines of my hotel room within the next week. Against it, I get a 750 ml bottle of vodka at almost twice the market rate in Mumbai, which is about as much as what a reliable bootlegger, had I had one, would have sold it to me for. Ibrahim Ranwala, who sits at the counter of the shop, elderly and balding, tells me with a gap-toothed smile, "Now you can consume much." I feel like a fuel-inefficient car, but only in your room, or else he wags his finger, then crosses his arms and makes a clicking noise that mimes the metal gate of a prison cell closing. I clutch my bottle and permit and run. Later in the evening in my hotel room, as I hear the familiar and reassuring sound of ice chiming in the glass, I remember Ranwala's words and begin to consume legally, if not consume much. As I drink and smoke and read till late into the evening, I realize something. Even one can make the activity legal. Drinking in Gujarat is simply too much hard work, and where is the fun in that? And I can also read out a little bit about Kanikas, because that's about women drinking and how things changed in Delhi. Also, I mean, I think she had a great division of the 3 kinds of drinkers. There is a lot of, drinkers, as we were talking, are honest people, and at least the binge drinkers who lose the plot, they're not phonies. I mean, they don't have any front left. So, she says, my feelings towards alcohol are well a cocktail. For the most part, it's an exhausting, meaningless and pointless exercise that arises as a coping mechanism to human anxiety, pain, loneliness, insecurities, emotional fear.
On the other hand, in defense of the many pained, anxious, lonely, emotionally paralyzed people who continue to seek alcohol as a means out of the tunnel, these are natural reactions to the act of living.
Palash, slowly.
Sorry. Okay, there are types of drinkers. The binge drinkers, they let go and then next morning they are in control again. The sliding drinkers, you see them fall slowly and steadily into the arms of the seductive booze, unable to come up again, the intellect slowly wasting away. The hangers-on, drinking for them is not the purpose. They feed off the energy of other drinkers going with the flow.
That's great.
And I was just trying to... Yeah. Anyway, I can't find that passage. Sorry.
Ten minutes left.
Yeah. Here's about women drinking. She says, it's the pubbing culture that mushroomed in Delhi, and she says the pubbing culture that mushroomed in our earning years. While Khan Market once only had chonas, the hangout college students considered the ultimate in luxury. We entered an economy as lawyers, we entered the economy as lawyers and journalists, bankers and architects, physiotherapists and HR professionals, where we could, unbelievably for those of us who grew up in the Krishi Darshan days of Doordarshan, channel our inner Ali McBeal and head to the bar after work. From Thank God It's Friday to gins and ricks, to now the numerous new breweries in Gurgaon, old gems like the UCH and the crazy days of Turquoise Cottage, in the graffiti-filled basements, and of course the cat-friendly Sweaty Press Club, the city has been witness to 2 decades of nocturnal excesses of a growing number of men and women who made up the cliché India shining. Our drinking epitomized in a way our lifestyle, the work hard and play hard generation that was the hope of the Indian economy. We bought Marutis on EMIs and drove from one bar to another after work. We dated in bars. We went to bars when we broke up. We moped in bars. We celebrated a promotion with margaritas. We got onto the floor and dragged strangers with us. We got back home, heaven knew how, only to get into bed and inexplicably weep, only to drag ourselves to work because we had that assignment to turn in. Here, alcohol represented freedom. For a whole new generation of women, the easy access to alcohol has been like crossing the final bastion to being equal with men, the right to waste shitloads of money on LITs in one evening, or to bunk work to drink martinis with a colleague and heap abuses on the patriarchal system at work, or at the workplace, or to go to a friend's house for an afternoon of drinking, sneer covertly at the pseudo-intellectualism of the company present, and leave because the music is too pretentious. While alcohol was certainly not what empowered us, with the ability it has to exaggerate a moment, it made us feel empowered. Though I'll admit that as far as feelings induced by alcohol go, nothing beats that old bastard nausea. Equal pay may be still some way ahead, but the ability to buy one's own drinks and then proceed to act whichever way we like under its influence is in a way an equalizer. And I think she makes a great point there. That, yeah. I mean,
what is LITs?
Yeah, it's just
Long Island iced teas. I think, yeah, Sex on the City, they used to drink LIT.
Yeah.
Sex at the City. Sex on the beach, I'm getting it.
So actually, I want to make a comment on what you just said, if that's all right.
Yeah.
So it was what you said about, you get an opportunity to maybe rant a bit about the patriarchy or the unfairness of whatever system you might belong to.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to know that cigarette smoking, when the marketing effort for cigarette smoking and alcohol began with the suffragettes, actually Bernays, who was Sigmund Freud's nephew, wrote the text. And then and what he said was, after consulting with his uncle who happened to be Sigmund Freud, once again, that this whole idea that cigarette smoking, he started with the suffragettes by calling them torches of freedom, with the subconscious idea that he wanted to implant being that if you don't have a penis, here's one to hold. Okay? So you feel stronger and more more quote unquote, once again, big quotes, manly, when you're holding a cigarette.
Abeer, that was a classic, what is the word for it? Mirthless laugh.
Yeah, it was.
So that's how the marketing began for cigarette smoking, targeting women.
That's very interesting.
Spell?
Bearnays.
Like
Freud's
that
nephew.
sauce Bearnays. Like
Bearnays.
It's, I know cigarette advertising is kind of out of control, and maybe there's more cigarette smokers in this part of the world.
Yeah.
It's reducing in the States.
Yeah.
I know in the States there's what used to be a ban on alcohol advertising is now coming back, and now you can see alcohol ads on TV.
Yeah.
And it used to be the case that you couldn't have them.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that's sort of loosened over the years.
Yes. We even here it's called surrogate advertising. So you have a commercial for 8 p.m. whiskey, because Indians start having the whiskey. It's a great name, 8 p.m. whiskey. I drank a lot of it in Dehradun. And yeah, 8 p.m. apple juice. Anything can happen. Yeah. So you sell it as apple juice, you sell it as soda, you sell it as anything else. Everyone knows. So it's Carlsberg Club glasses. Foster's soda.
Bacardi music.
Bacardi music CDs. Yeah. And I think one last thing is which is drinking in India is we have this institution of dry days. And when you do well and you become a pillar of society, and when you die, and if you're a great Indian, there will be a dry day named after you. Either a religious figure, and then there is this whole, because once in Delhi I was drinking, and there were dry days after 4 days in a row. It was dry. And dry means you can't buy alcohol. You can't buy.
Unless you're a foreigner.
Yeah, unless you're a foreigner. But otherwise, Gandhi Jayanti, on the day Gandhi was born, you can't buy liquor in bars, or nor can you buy liquor in from a store. So this dry day is a very interesting, and but you have very interesting during dry days, because I once got in a cycle rickshaw, and this rickshaw puller said, "Yeah, man, I'll take you to a slum, and you're going to get everything you want there." And while peddling, then he told me this long sob story that he's actually this model and politician called Nafisa Ali. He said, "I'm Nafisa Ali's cook, and I was kicked out because I was drinking and beating up my wife." And Nafisa said, "You can't do that." And she wanted me to apologize. And he said, "No, if I apologize, I wouldn't be a man." So he was kind of on the streets peddling cycle rickshaw. And so the dry days is a very interesting, and Munna Bhai, which is this famous Bollywood film, this guy Sanjay Dutt's character actually says that this whole thing of that you become a pillar of society and you drink, that he says that, when I become really famous, the Apun ke happy birthday pe bhi Akha India mein dry day hoga. So, and that's when you really made it, so I mean that's interesting, and religious. There's been competition. Delhi is supposed to, being the capital of the country, represents all parts of and all religions. So you have the maximum number of dry days in Delhi, which is 29 days in a year are dry. Because the Sindhis will say, yeah, look, Jhulelal Jayanti, why is it not a dry day? So Jhulelal Jayanti is a dry day. Then I think then there's Valmiki Jayanti, because the Dalits. So it's every community is represented with a dry day. And yes, that's another interesting thing that struck me. Yeah.
So if no one else has any questions, maybe we'll bring the session to a close. Oh yeah, no? You're just stretching. Someone in the back? No? All right, well, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.